LA Times The Envelope Roundtable is presented by Marvel Studios' Daredevil, Born Again, for your Emmy Awards consideration in all categories, including Outstanding Drama Series.
I love Bridget Jones, and anytime I have a chance to, spend a minute in her universe, it's joyful. And creatively, it's really fun to figure out how the change and the things that have affected this character in her life might manifest. What did it look like?
For the Los Angeles Times, I'm Lorraine Ollie, and this is the Envelope Limited Series and Television Movie Roundtable. Our guest today, Elizabeth Banks is Nikki, a woman battling addiction while coping with the fallout of a tragic murder in the Amazon Prime video thriller, The Better Sister.
The last thing any mom wants is for her kid to get taken away.
Javier Bardem plays Jose Menendez, the father of convicted murderers in Monsters, the Lyle and Eric Menendez story, a Netflix series inspired by true events.
So as a father that loves you, Lyle, I'm really sorry I didn't hit you hard enough.
Sacha Baron Cohen plays Robert Ravenscroft, a lawyer and consultant married to a filmmaker who's grappling with accusations from her past in the Apple TV Plus thriller, Disclaimer.
It's clear to me that she behaved with a completely shameful cruelty, and you should know that we are no longer living together.
Stephen Graham is Eddie Miller, the working-class parent of a boy accused of an unspeakable crime in the Netflix series Adolescence.
So if my dad made me, how did I make that?
Brian Tyree Henry is Ray Driscoll, a low-level criminal posing as a DEA agent in order to rob drug dealers in the Apple TV Plus drama Dope Thief.
And now, even now in here, you may have ratted me out.
Jenny Slate plays Nikki, a struggling actor who becomes an emotional anchor for her terminally ill best friend Molly on FX's dramedy Dying for Sex.
Don't go and hide and be safe with Steve. He does not care about what you want or who you are.
Renée Zellweger reprises her role of Bridget Jones, a TV producer and now widow who begins dating again in Peacock's Bridget Jones, Mad About the Boy.
Everything all right, Mrs. Darcy?
Yep, super. Just climbing a tree.
I wanted to open this up with an incredibly deep question.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Brace yourselves. So, if you could play any role from a series from any decade in television, what would it be?
Danny McBride, Kenny Powers.
Kenny Powers.
What?
I love that for you.
Wow.
Yes.
I love that.
Well, we don't even have to go.
How much fun?
I would love to see you play Kenny Powers.
How much fun did Danny McBride have playing Kenny Powers?
But I also just want to see you in a mullet.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's coming back. You never
It
know.
really is,
You never
unfortunately.
know. My friends and I would sit around and just marvel at what they pulled off, because you can't do that. And yet, and just thinking about that writer's room and everybody sitting around and going, no. How about this? I just thought, what a dream, you know? Super fun.
Javier?
You know, Poor Man, Rich Man?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Peter, what's the lead? Yes, I know.
Falconetti.
Yes.
Falconetti. Falconetti
Okay.
was like the main guy.
Okay.
I like it.
All right.
That's what I'm here for. Right?
So we're just going to talk about him the rest
the
of
whole
the
segment,
time.
so-
Yes.
Mine would be Yozza Hughes
Oh,
from Boys from the Black
yeah.
Stuff,
Yeah, amazing.
which was
You would have been brilliant at that.
I think that's
Yeah.
definitely mine. It was a
I can
fantastic
do
show,
that.
wasn't it? Yeah, it gives you a job.
Yeah, gives
Gives
a
a
job.
job going
Sorry, I
on.
got completely the wrong catchphrase.
It was very kind of. It was a really kind of
furious.
socially political show back home.
It's
Set
amazing.
in Liverpool. It was just
Yeah.
after the Thatcher era.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It was
Yeah.
the first time that I've really noticed that television can be social and political.
Yeah.
And it was the first real time I heard people that spoke like me,
Wow.
which showed me that it was possible to, be able to do it.
What era was that about?
80s.
Well, okay.
I used to watch it with me.
I wasn't born, but I saw it. It's really interesting. It's a bit of history.
Gen Z.
The Gen Z.
The first thing that came to mind was the Golden Girls, because I'm a huge fan of all of them. And B. Arthur is like my idol. I mean, I think but Rue McClanahan, I mean, to be like Blanche Dubois would be epic. And they're so funny and they're sexy and it's empowering and they're friends and it's about their sisterhood. And I just loved it. Yeah.
Mine is very unconventional. Frances Conroy from 6 Feet Under, the mother.
Wow, yeah.
Just because I want to know what it's like to play an unhinged white woman. And I never saw one played so brilliantly like what she did in 6 Feet Under. I just thought her art was just unbelievable. Her pain, her humor. And that show was just, I don't know, like I still shiver at the season finale. Which gave us Sia. I don't know if you all know that the final song from the very last episode of 6 Feet Under is Sia. And it's quite brilliant. And if you don't cry, you have no soul. But I love that part. It's one of my favorite parts.
Best finale
Oh, man.
ever.
So crazy.
So good. So good.
I would say the Larry Sanders Show.
I was just watching that. I love that show.
Because it was completely revolutionary. It was the first time you had this sort of mockumentary TV show. It was really the basis for a lot of stuff that came after it, The Office, and no, but it was a revolutionary bit of comedy, absolutely hysterical, and revolutionized comedy. And I'm going to say the word comedy a lot.
This feels almost like sacrilegious to say, but I would want to be on Strangers with Candy, which was
God,
Amy Sedaris and
Stephen Colbert.
yeah,
Oh, man.
and Paul Dinello.
Brilliant show.
That show was just so eye-opening to me. I had not seen comedy like that before, ever. I had never seen a woman be such an animal, like in terms of comedy, and so delightful. Her character almost did little like she would do animal stuff, and the comedy. Oh my! It was perverted. The show was a gift, so it felt really kind, but it was deeply offensive, but in a really smart way. And I just remember watching it in college and becoming obsessed with Amy Sedaris. And still am. So it's wrong to say I would want to be on it because it feels really like.
I want to petition
How
for
can I
you to
ever say it? But
be
if I could
Jerry
do anything,
Blank.
One of my treasured artifacts is I got a signed Candy picture that says Elizabeth Pee on Me.
Yes!
That's incredible. Yep.
Wow.
You can frame it.
Yeah, it's framed. Oh, it's framed.
It's one of my favorite sentences from that show is "I'm as moist as a cellar down there."
Oh my God.
I was like, well, this is genius. I don't know if you can ever do this again. It's brilliant. That's
so good.
So sorry that I started out that way.
Are you going to be okay?
I don't understand any words to say. I told you in the beginning. So I go like,
first language. Lucky.
You don't want to understand.
You really don't.
No, nobody wants that word. No. So Renee, with Bridget Jones, how has she changed over the last 25 years, and where is she now with Mad About the Boy?
Well, like all of us, nobody's the same from, one moment to the next, one chapter to the next, and certainly not from 1 year to the next. So, it's been a really interesting sort of experiment to revisit a character in the different phases of her life. What I'm really grateful for is that, the timing is sort of, it runs in a parallel. The sort of experiences that you have in your early 20s, 30s, and with each iteration, there's not, I don't have to pretend like I'm less than I am. Because I don't want to be the character that I was or played when she was 29 at 35. I don't want to do that. And I certainly don't want to do that now.
You sure you don't need a hand?
No. As Einstein said, what goes up must come down.
Newton.
Yes, Newton.
And so it was really nice to meet her again in this place where what she's experiencing in the moment, which is bereavement and the loss of her great love and children and being a mom and trying to be responsible and evaluating how she comports herself and what's important and all of that, because of course, I relate to that in this moment. So it's a really interesting thing to meet someone and sort of try to mine what is familiar about her essence, which is never changing, like in so many people. Jenny, she's a mom now, and when it matters, she's young, like brilliant, hilarious
that is such a good Jenny.
lady.
That really, that's such a, I'm like, that is so.
Jenny at 29.
Yeah.
Totally. And
Jenny, in her 40s.
It's just a little slower. It hurts a little bit.
A little. Yeah. But there's things about Jenny's essence, like this, for example, that never change and will be familiar to the people who love her forever, you know? So it's like that.
Yeah.
That's what it's like.
Hey, I'm Brian Tyree Henry from Dope Thief, and you're watching the LA Times Envelope, limited series and television movie roundtable.
For me, I always wanted Eddie to be very kind of, he's a hard-working man. And he's a good man who tries to the best of his ability to be a father. But he's not a very tactile man. That vulnerability is there, but it's really buried, and it's buried very deep.
Many of the series that you've represented at this table are dealing with super heavy subjects. So I'm wondering, and I'll start with you, Stephen, with adolescence, are you bringing any of that offset with you? Are you bringing any of that home? Like, do you have, does it weigh on you?
Try not to.
Yeah.
Because I have a home life, which I try to switch off when I leave set. And especially we were working, Owen was such a wonderful, unique talent, the lad who played Jamie. It's the first real acting he'd ever done in many respects. It was the first professional job he'd had. We did that first episode, and as soon as, this is the beauty of someone like Owen, but as soon as we'd finish it, the end of it was quite heavy and quite emotional in the interview room. And then he'd say cut, and all of us older actors and the crew would be very emotional. And he'd take his hugs, and there'd be like a bit of an applause and stuff like that. Then we'd carry on and we'd talk about it, and everyone would be, where's Owen? Is Owen okay? Where's Owen? Make sure Owen's okay. Is he with his child psychologist? Is he with his tutor? Yeah, Owen's upstairs playing swing ball with his tutor. Do you know what I mean? And it was kind of like, oh, okay, that's the way to do it. Not to take myself too seriously when we say cut, but when I am there, I immerse myself in it, you know what I mean? And I think that takes time. It was a heavy piece to do, and it did have an effect on, most of it. I think when you're watching the crew sometimes, when you're finished and you see the crew, and you see the effect it's had on your crew, I think that's when you're like, oh, wow, okay.
Yeah. Right.
Do you know what I mean? When you see a big, massive rigger, do you know what I mean?
Just a rip in tears.
Just going like that.
Yes.
And you're walking out and you go, you're all right? And you go...
You're the best barometer.
You're like, sorry, you're all right? And he's like, he killed me. And it's that kind of thing. You know that you've had an impact together as a collective.
So true.
Yeah.
But it's important, I think, for me personally, and I've learned that over time. Especially, I think let's be honest, we can all be slightly self-obsessed. Do you know what I mean? But my missus she's the best for me, because if I'd phone her and say I had a really tough day, I had to cry all day, and my wife's died of cancer, and it was a really tough one, and it's been a tricky day. She'd go, really? And I'd go, yeah. She'd go to dog all over the living room. I had to go shopping, bag split when I got to Tesco's. There was a flat tyre. I got home, they've let the kids out of school because there's been a flood. And you've had a hard day pretending to be smart. And then I just kind of go...
Doing make-believe.
Yeah. Keep you humble.
It's like kind of... Yeah.
You're a good dad, a great dad. But we made him.
So if my dad made me, how did I make that?
Javier playing Jose Menendez in Monsters, the Lyle and Eric Menendez story. What kind of research did you do to play that role? Because there's so many ideas of who this guy was.
There was not much for me to look for, because there was not much information on Jose Menendez particularly. And so I rely on the research that Ian Brennan and Ryan Murphy did. And I totally agree with what Stephen says. I think it's about the older you get, the more obvious, I guess, it's the fact that you have a life with your family, your children, that you have to really pay attention to, and this is a job. And then you just do the job as good as you can with your own limitations. You put everything into it when they say action or when you get on stage, and when you're out, you just leave it behind. Otherwise, it's too much. It's very easy to say, it's hard to do, because certain scenes, certain moments stay with you, because we work with what we are. It doesn't make you a better actor to really stay in character, as they say, for 24 hours. I don't think that that doesn't work for me. It actually makes me feel very confused if I do that. And the thing that I did on the show, Monsters, is to try to protect Cooper and Nicholas, the actors who play the children, because they were carrying the heavy weight on the show every day. And I was trying to make them feel protected and loved and accompanied by us, the adults, and let them know that we are there for them and this is fiction.
Yeah.
Because they were going really deep into it, and they did an amazing job.
Yeah, absolutely. Did.
But they were able to do the same amazing job stepping out of it a little bit.
More money for this family, because that's what this family needs. More money, money, money. And you know what? I can't lie anymore. I can't lie and tell you that I love you when I don't. I can't lie and tell you that I love this family when I don't. I can't.
You must be drunk if you're saying all this.
I'm not drunk. I'm not drunk.
I'm Stephen Graham from Adolescence, and you're watching the LA Times Envelope Limited Series and Television Movie Roundtable.
Nikki is an alcoholic chaos machine who re-enters her estranged sister's life after the murder of our co-husband. When this murder happens, the two of us have to come together to sort of care for and save our son after the murder of his father.
The Better Sister is a family drama with a murder mystery. Can you talk a little bit about who your character, Nikki, is?
I play a drunk who's lost her child and her husband, basically, to her little sister, played by Jessica Biel, and is grappling with some trauma in her childhood, and which she's trying not to bring forward. And she's been working Alcoholics Anonymous, an incredible program, and working through her stuff. And she kind of comes to the situation. She also is a fish out of water. She goes to visit her sister, be with her sister in her very rarefied New York, fancy, rich world. And I basically live in effect a trailer park in Ohio. But like intelligent, deeply intelligent, and clearly got in her own way and couldn't figure out how to make her life happen. So she's got a lot of arrested development. And she's also coming to be, her maternal instinct has sort of never left her, and so she's also trying to mother for the first time. It's very complicated. I lost custody of my son to my sister, and I'm trying through these circumstances to sort of re-mother him again.
The last thing any mom wants is for her kid to get taken away. But then you realize they're better off without you. That was something I had to admit to myself.
I loved the writing. I loved the complication. I loved that the sisterhood was at the center of it. I am a sister. I'm the oldest of 4. I have 2 sisters. Wow. And that, you know, and we had a complicated childhood. And in that, like, I have a brother who's 11 years younger than me, and he had a completely different version of my parents than I had. And so it brought up all of those things. And so when we were talking about, can you leave it or leave it on set? And I do think you absolutely leave most of that on set, but all of those things got brought up for me. Sobriety brought up for me, my childhood, my sisters, what that all feels like and looks like, because you are mining it all for the character work.
You have to get it from somewhere.
You gotta find it, but then you also do, you know, I don't need to then infect my own children with it, you know what I mean? And I don't need, and also there's good and bad, and I've, as an adult, worked through many things, and I mostly focus on the good.
There we go.
Right? So, but this required a lot of rehashing and reliving some, you know, real things that happened, because that's what you mine for your work. But yeah, mostly left it. I would say that the thing that I worked on the most was sobriety. I'm not sober. I have a wine company, for goodness sakes. I love a bubbly rosé. Okay? I don't know what's in here, but you can guess.
Nikki Boyer is a real person who's also my friend now, and it did happen in real life that Molly decided to leave her marriage and decided to ask her best friend to do this with her And that's a huge, huge move. And Nikki is not someone who's blocked up. And Nikki is also someone who clearly has a true love for Molly. And Molly chooses her because of that, not because she's necessarily the most responsible person. Hi, I'm Jenny Slate from Dying for Sex, and you're watching the LA Times Envelope Limited Series and Television Movie Roundtable.
Why did you stop being a vigilante? A line was crossed. You liked how it felt, didn't you? Dispensing justice. If you say to me that you're a new man, I say fine. But if you step out of line, I will be there. Daredevil, Born Again, for your Emmy consideration.
Ray is so near and dear to my heart. Playing somebody like him felt very important for me to showcase because a lot of Rays out there don't get a lot of attention. And so I really wanted the Rays of the world to see themselves reflected and to see what not to do. He's very much the anti-hero of the show, but I also wanted people to walk away caring about him deeply.
Sacha, you've created these incredible characters like Ali G or Borat, but in Disclaimer, you play Robert, who's this kind of insecure lawyer. And I'm wondering, what was it like occupying that role?
You know, for me, the way into character, whether it's Borat or whoever, is through the words, really. So I do that and then, you know, put on grow a moustache or something like that. So it took me a long time to really work out who he was. And I said to Alfonso, I go, in the first script, I go, I don't understand why this guy goes on that journey from where we see him in, you know, Act 1 or at the beginning of the show. And so we worked a lot through the specificity of what words he uses, what he actually says, to understand why I'm going on this journey. So basically, there was a lot of rewriting, loads and loads of drafts before I even understood how, you know, this guy reacts to the TV shows, but a guy reacts to some news and some information that he believes about his wife.
Who's played by Kate Blanchett.
Yes, yeah. Who's this new actor? She's great. She's so exciting.
Yeah.
Good luck to her.
She's good. She would play swing ball after every take. Did she? Yeah.
These came to the office. Who sent them?
I don't know.
Who else has them?
I don't know.
You don't know. These could soon be all over the internet. Sit down. Look at them.
Who gave you those?
Look at them.
For me, again, it's the words and going, how do you make this person unique, and whether they're loud or quiet. You're basically saying that the other characters are very gregarious and this one's quite... Yeah, it was quite, you know...
Yeah, I mean...
Smaller.
Yeah.
A lot of that was Alfonso Cuarón saying, take it down.
Take it down.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Whoa, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So, Dying for Sex, it's based on a true story.
Yes.
And of two women, and they did a podcast about this. Two friends, one of them has terminal cancer, and the other is basically the support friend who's there to watch her to the end. You play the woman who watches her to the end.
Yes.
But it's really funny, but it's also it can be incredibly dark and incredibly sad. So what was it like playing that?
In my work at this point, I'm really looking for a variation of intensities, and I have a big appetite for it. Whereas in my life now, I would like there to be less intensity. Like my personal life, I just want to be in the bed with my little 4-year-old and, you know, my husband, and I like cooking dinner every night. It's like a pretty simple thing. But in my work, and it's not that there's repression there, but it's more that I know myself the most of all. That I understand myself the most. We were kind of talking about this before. And so, first of all, I understand that Nikki, who I play, is also a real person, and a person that I respect and care a lot about, and none of us would have had a job if she didn't decide to tell her story and then allow us to adapt it into a podcast. I felt a responsibility to her, and I also felt a real hunger to work when I could and to not simplify the character and lean on any sort of like comedy crutches, and to just like be really, really prepared, really aware, so that when we got in there, I wasn't just like the funny friend or whatever, but an alive person reacting to her beloved friend whose life energy is dwindling away, but weirdly her will to live and thrive is finally blooming really true. And so I felt like it was a really exciting thing to be the companion to that story, where while Michelle Williams, who does a brilliant job in this show, and she's always brilliant, and she's brilliant in a new way. Her energy is like extending outward, and she's trying to experiment before she does the greatest experiment of all, which is to cross over into the other side. And my character is really out there, really like, not out there sort of like willy-nilly, but she will yell at people if they are being rude, wasteful, or if she feels it's unjust. Going like from like blasting to taking all that energy and like making it like this tight laser and pointing it like right into care and like knowing more about herself at the end. I don't know if this answers that question, but I loved it. And I am a peppy person, and I felt so excited to have the job that a lot of my day started with calming myself down because I was like, I'm at work with Michelle Williams and Sissy Spacek and Liz Merriweather and Shannon Murphy, and like being like, Siri, set a meditation timer for 10 minutes. And like making myself do like alternate nostril breathers. Like, I am a peppy person, but I will say I have like a big problem being aggressive, even though I feel rage, and I just had to I just had to calm it all down so that I could be someone that I am not, but was so excited to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Don't go and hide and be safe with Steve. He does not care about what you want or who you are, and that's why you married him, and it was chicken then, and it's chicken now.
Ryan, I'm so interested in that, like coming from the show Atlanta, how did you kind of acclimate going into other things? Because it seems like Atlanta was its own animal.
You don't really.
Yeah.
I think I'm constantly trying to acclimate. Even sitting here with you guys, I was like, right, I am Brian Tyree Henry sitting here. I'm not Paperboy, which I don't think I imagined the reach that character would have and the impact that character would have. Because it's also just so funny that people really thought that I was this rapper that they pulled off the street from Atlanta. And I was like, okay, but to me, that's the greatest compliment.
Yeah.
That to me, that it's so great. Now, when you're yelled at in particular places like restrooms or airports that you're Paperboy, especially by security, but what I love about that is that it's a great challenge, right? Because then it's like, well, no one's going to expect that I'm going to play this person either. Like, when I did Bullet Train, I was shocked at how many people thought I was British. Like, I was like, oh, right, like now I've twisted your mind this way. And, so that is a big reason why I took Dope Thief. I was like, how have people not seen me before? A heroin addict that's running around for his life, in the streets of Philly. And, and that was exciting. Like, it's always exciting to see the different ways that I can challenge not just myself, but I'm always trying to challenge everyone else, like all the time. I'm always forcing the viewer to just change their mind about what they think about me when they see me. Because I realize that when I walk in a room, before I even open my mouth, there's 90 different things that are put on me or taken away from me just because of how I look and how I carry myself. And then you hear me and they're like, oh, he's actually like, not threatening, and then I'll stop, and then you'll be threatened again. And that's the joy of acting. And so, yeah, like I like departures. Departures are my favorite thing and what keep me here.
Stupid is the most dangerous, Manny. That's right. So that's why we need to educate them. Okay, let's go. It's my birthday today. So.
Hi, I'm Renée Zellweger from Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy, and you're watching the LA Times Envelope limited series and television movie roundtable.
What I felt most appealing as an actor was we can't really know for sure if he did those things that he was accused of or not. That as an actor was a great line to be working on. So that was the exciting part of playing.
Javier, people take their shows pretty seriously. And since you played Jose Menendez, have people approached you and asked you what you think happened behind the scenes of those murders?
They ask me that question a lot, and I go, I don't know, and I don't know, and I don't think anybody knows, and that's the point, and that was the great thing about playing that character in the show is like you have to play it in a way that it's not obvious that he was. That he did those things that he was accused of because nobody knows. But at the same time, you have to make people believe that he was capable of. So that was a nice way to portray that character. It was fun. I had a lot of fun doing the character.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean,
was it the time that you had to do poppers on the couch that was the most fun? Because I was like, what, Javier?
The only thing that and Ryan was so helpful with that. I said, Ryan, I can't do a scene with a kid. And I said, I can. And it's not needed. There was no need for that. And the only moment that I have a hard time was when I have to face my young kid. It was only a moment where I was like mean to him or like, that's not in my nature. It was like, oh, I can't do that. But the rest, it was great. I was laughing. I was making sure everybody took it easy because it was so hard. It was so, no?
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about real stuff and real people. That's why I was so concerned about Nicholas and Cooper. Like, guys, you can't take this back home. Tell your families that you are doing fine. Talk to your mom, talk to your dad, feel the love, and then do the job because otherwise it can be very, very hard on them.
You know what I think when you complain that I hit you? I think that I didn't hit you hard enough.
When I'm watching, like when I was watching you, you know, oh my God, the scene where you confront the boys in the parking lot with the bike, and I was just like, oh my God, how many times did he have to do that? How did he? What's so great is that it all felt like one take. Like we're watching you leave the store, we're watching you go, you throw the bike, and this kid gets in your face, and I was like, punch the kid! I was like, punch this kid! But it was just, I just, my heart went out to you, man. Not just as the character, but as you, like being in there. I was like, how in the world? So I always often think about things like that when I'm watching such great talent as yourselves. I'm like, how did they decompress? How did they come back? How did they put their feet back on the ground? Because it's just so powerful. It's just so powerful.
I think with respect to that particular episode, because we did it all in one take, so it had that unique quality. It was, you know, you're using the best of both mediums, really. You've got that beauty and that spontaneity and that reality of the theatre. And then you have the naturalism and the truth that we have to tell with film and television. As you were saying, it was so much fun.
Yeah.
But as a collective, we set out on that train ride together. Yeah. So all of the crew, and my heart goes off to our crew. Our crew were impeccable. Matt Lewis, who was our wonderful DOP, only a young man, do you know what I mean? He was phenomenal. And it was just that kind of thing where we're so familiar with the text and we know the text because it was a unique experience to spend a whole week rehearsing as actors. We never get that opportunity.
No. Right.
So it's like you're holding a new play. Yeah. And you embody the language, and we had time to talk about it, really understand our relationship as man and wife. Christine was phenomenal as my wife. She was wonderful. Right. And all of them, I think every single member of the cast was outstanding because it was technically 4 plays, but they were so real and so truthful. And with that, you kind of, you go along on that emotional journey, so you're really experiencing it.
Why?
As Eddie's going through it, so what you were saying about that impact on your body, by the time I get to that final bit and we've been through all those emotions and I open the door and go into his room, everything's kind of shaking. And what you were saying before, sometimes I've had these kind of twitches where my body's just gone somewhere else and something else has happened. And again, not trying to sound pretentious, but it's not.
Don't worry,
you.
you're not going to sound pretentious.
I hope not.
Yeah.
I hope
That
not.
accent,
But it's not you. It's not you. Do you know what I mean? It's an out-of-body
That's right,
experience.
yeah.
So it's not you at all.
Yeah.
And then something just comes from somewhere else. And especially with that last moment. And, you know, Phil gave me a beautiful note and he said, I want you to sit on the bed. And then we just decided to maybe tuck the teddy bear in. And all Stephen does is, ever since my kids have been little, I kiss them on the head and I put them to bed. And I'm very tactile with my kids. But Eddie didn't have that. Eddie didn't have that in his makeup because of his upbringing. So when he kisses that teddy bear, after that emotional experience he's been through, it just felt, I don't know, it's one of those things where I don't think you really know what you're doing when you're doing it.
Yeah, it's like an out of body, right?
Yeah, completely.
I would be so honored to lose to you. Just to put that out there. Be an honor.
Oh, yes.
I'm able to lose to this man.
And I'll be the first one to stand up and go to our
ahead, man.
My God,
Are you
are amazing.
Hey, I'm Elizabeth Banks from The Better Sister, and you're watching LA Times Envelope, limited series and television movie roundtable. Here we are.
So Robert Ravenscroft, despite being wealthy and successful, is fundamentally insecure, which allows him to be vulnerable to photos and a book that seem to be about his wife.
Renee, you've had this incredible career with Bridget Jones, 2 Oscar wins. Was there any role that was a particular challenge for you?
Trying not to do what you're feeling in the moment sometimes.
Okay.
Because it's not appropriate to what you're, telling. And that happens in most shows, most things that you do. I think everybody experiences it, where you're bringing something from home.
Yeah.
And it doesn't belong on the set. And it's impossible to sort of leave it behind when you walk in because it's bigger than you are in that moment. And
Can you see it later? Like when you're watching, can you see it coming out?
I'll never tell.
Fair.
It becomes part of the mix.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then at the end,
I give myself grace. I have to be like, well, that's what I was doing that day.
Right,
Okay.
right.
I really have to give grace to it.
Yeah. And you think, okay, and in terms of the spectrum of what it is that you're creating, it's a micro moment. Yeah. And so hopefully nobody else is ever gonna know that as anything but what you meant to do. Do you know?
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah.
I always laugh at the concept of like how not in control of the edit I am. Like you have to surrender. You know what I mean? I was like, at the end of the day, we all have to surrender to the edit.
You can't even admit it. I did everything I could to raise you. Your girlfriend raised me, nigga, okay? Dressed me, fed me, took me in like a stray dog, and I still live like one, too. Still do. Scared that any woman I bring home, I'm gonna rip apart like you did my mother. Ain't one part of my life, one part that you ain't up. And now, even now in here, you may have ratted me out.
I will never forget, I'm sorry, to when Javier was finally a Bond villain. Like, I just remember being so excited to see him go in this thing, because Bond villains are my favorite thing. Like, I just like Bond, but I love Bond. And when I saw his body in it, I was like, whatever Javier's brain is going to do to this, I'm not even prepared. Like, and then he was blonde. And I was like, this is already better. Like, that's what I love about it.
Villain. You have to come on.
We'll see, man. They've only had one black Bond villain. But I think that's what's so great about being at this table with all of you, because at some point I have absolutely seen you in places that I'm just like, oh, I want to, like, I'm watching you occupy that space. I'm watching you go, like, this is how I'm gonna, like, throw this card down. Like, this is how I'm gonna, like, Renee, I could go on all day. But, like, it's true, like, to see how we've all just figured out how to occupy those spaces and make it, like, our own. It's really cool.
I wanted to ask one question of Javier, because I thought what's interesting here is technique and how you get into character. And there's growing up, you obviously hear a lot about the method and Stanislavski. And I was interested in something that you said. You said you had the pleasure, you enjoyed playing your character. You play this vicious, horrific character. So I'm interested in, obviously we've been talking about using personal experiences and drawing stuff. But do you do that? Or do you go in and you enjoy playing this alien person?
No, I enjoy, I don't know, of course, we all bring what we have. We work with our instrument, which is ourselves, our memories, our physicality, whatever it is. But I try to, as much as I can, to give room to the imagination, to imagine, and play with that, and play with that, and play with the fact that I will never be able to do such a thing.
Yeah.
I think, no, I know, for sure.
Yeah, well, you generally play murderers, so...
Yeah.
Good on.
Exactly. So,
Penelope is safe, carry on.
It's good. So why in the world a person would able to do that? And then I start to imagine, and it doesn't need to really resonate in me.
Yeah.
And
so it's a different
I think that's
style
the
of
fun
acting.
and the joy of what we do, that we are forced to really work the imagination and try to put ourselves in a place that is not only an experience, but also an idea of what it would be like, and that helps us to understand better other people's worlds. And
See, we all like to have fun. Like, at the end of the day, we are still looking for the fun of it and the joy of it.
It's just being a child again.
Yeah.
Believing what you were doing.
Well, what you were saying about Owen.
That's it, He goes and plays after.
After.
Yeah, it's the pleasure of
He leaves it.
pretense.
Yeah. Thank you all so much. This has been great. It has. It's been wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
I love you guys.
What am I watching right now? Oh my goodness. I'm intrigued by so many things. I'm actually catching up on some stuff like Bad Sisters and Slow Horses.
Oh, Bluey. I have a 4-year-old. I watch Bluey a lot. I think I'm the last American who's watching Yellowstone.
Shameless, the American Shameless. So I've just finished that series and I thought it was brilliant.
So I've decided to start watching The Sopranos.
Well, I'm one of the many people out there that has been blown away by the quality of adolescence.
LA Times The Envelope Roundtable was presented by Marvel Studios' Daredevil, Born Again, for your Emmy Awards consideration in all categories, including Outstanding Drama Series.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. For more stories in your community, click the subscribe button here. You can also download the Spectrum News app or watch us on TV for the latest information, balanced coverage, weather updates every 10 minutes, and more. We'll see you then.